Daddy teaches you can be anything in this world that you want to be, right? Don't Daddy teach you that?
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if you're black or white or any color.
Doesn't matter if you're black, white, brown, yellow, right?
Black.
And how we treat people is based on who they are and not what color they are.
And if they're nice and smart.
See, this is how children think right here. Critical race theory wants to end that. Not with my children. It's not gonna happen. My baby's gonna know that no matter what she wants to be in life, all she has to do is work hard, and she can become that.
Well, that video has gone viral, and you can see why. Our next guest has written a piece titled Exposing the Left's Dishonesty about Critical Race Theory Criticism. Joining us now is former Vice President Pence's daughter and writer for the Daily Wire, Charlotte Pence Bond. Charlotte, welcome to the show.
Hi, Lindsay and Sean. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. So let me ask you a question. You know, you see a father like that in the video talking about how important it is that kids don't get brought up like this. Do you think that most parents understand what critical race theory really is and the impact that it could have?
You know, Sean, I think that a part of the left's kind of attack on conservatives and parents who are coming out against critical race theory being taught in schools is that they're basically being kind of dishonest about exactly that, about what critical race theory really is. It's not teaching kids just about historical racism and the reality that racism did exist in this country. It's actually teaching that that still exists today and that there's nothing you can really do about it, and it's all part of the structure. And so I think it's important for parents to kind of really understand what critical race theory is and kind of push back against this narrative that it's just teaching about slavery and Jim Crow, which are important things we should teach kids about, but that's actually not what critical race theory really is.
Yeah, and you go on in your article talking about how they use these dishonest tactics to push critical race theory. What would you say one is the strongest examples of that?
Well, you know, Lindsay, I think a lot of times the left is kind of pushing back against conservatives, mostly just calling them racist, which is not a new tactic. I mean, conservatives are kind of used to that at this point. But I think the real dishonesty is that kind of gaslighting and that that lie almost that it is teaching about historical racism. I think that the left kind of has this idea that conservatives don't want to teach about these things that happen, like racial segregation in schools, which isn't true. So I think that when parents start to really understand that and understand what critical race theorists actually openly say critical race theory is, then we can start to kind of push back against that, especially in the public school system.
So, you know, you said that a lot of times it's made to seem like it's, if you're not for it, that you're again teaching people about slavery or Jim Crow. What if you had to explain it to a parent who said, "I don't get it. Why should I be concerned?" What is the 30-second elevator pitch as to why this is concerning?
Yeah, you know, Sean, it's a great question. The real reason this is concerning is that critical race theory brings the past into the present. And leading scholars of critical race theory are actually pretty open about this. They're just talking about, they talk about it in the way of saying that critical race theory is a verb, it's not a noun, it's pretty fluid. And that's kind of part of the confusing part, is that it's hard to explain, but it's basically bringing past racism and saying that it's still part of our institutions today, that it's structural, that it's societal. It's basically teaching kids that based on the color of their skin, they're either an oppressor or they're a victim. And basically, there's kind of nothing they can do about it. And I think that's really a terrible thing to teach kids. I think that kids know better, you know, and like that video you just showed really displays, kids don't think that way, and we shouldn't be teaching them that they're part of a system just because of the color of their skin, that they are automatically going to oppress people, or they're automatically going to be oppressed because of a certain way that they look that they can't control. And critical race theory really does that. It really teaches us, it teaches kids, and it's been in academia for 40 years at this point, teaching people that these are systems that racism is just ingrained into all of our systems and into our society, and that there's nothing we can really do about it.
Okay.
Well, Charlotte,
Scary
thanks
stuff.
for being on our show, and appreciate you raising awareness to this issue.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.